Welcome to Discover Inclusion's training for parents and guardians. In this video, we'll be looking at moderating screen time for your child. If you have any questions, note them down to send an email when you have time. Please note, I'm not a medical professional. I'm giving advice based on my experience working with children with special educational needs. Screens are often used for regulation, not just by neurodivergent individuals, but lots of neurotypical people too. Think about how watching some TV or scrolling through social media gives you time to relax. There's no social cues to follow or tasks to do. You can disappear into a safe world and communicate or learn. The first thing that spending time on screens, such as watching TV, can help with is developing social skills. Not only can they watch people interacting and watch stories unfold, but they can watch the same thing over and over, replaying the emotions and working out what they might do in that situation. However, this is also where many people learn how to mask and the skills they will need to fit into society. Whilst we all mask to an extent, for an example, in an interview, it's important to learn that everyone is different and so sees the world differently, that masking is not always the answer. Think about looking for TV shows or films that show neurodiversity. Screens can also help to alleviate anxiety and regulate a person's emotions. There's no external pressure. They can control what is happening and watch or do something that is familiar and safe to them. For many people, this could be a program they have watched 100 times, but because they know what will happen and how everything unfolds, they're comfortable in watching it. Screens are a great space for learning. There are lots of educational games that can be downloaded on tablets and phones, as well as educational programs like Alpha Blocks or the National Geographic. The learning is safe and judgment-free, without the pressures of traditional schooling, where a child may be called out or put in situations that they don't understand, with no exit strategy. Many neurodiverse people will stim. This is searching for sensory feedback from their senses, such as chewing, flapping their hands, tapping their fingers, or making noises. Screens can provide stimulation through the colours or actions on the screen, or the sounds that are made. Finally, screens provide a space for calculated communication. It is literal depending on what is written. There aren't facial expressions to read, no one's judging how long you take to reply, you don't have to make eye contact, and you can write and rewrite a message as many times as you like before sending it. There are of course struggles with literal speech, but this is often hard for many people, so often the intention is made more clear to avoid miscommunication. As many benefits as screens provide, they can also be damaging to both children and adults, however, especially for children whose eyes are not fully formed yet. This is because blue light that is emitted from screens is in the visible light spectrum, but the eyes cannot effectively filter the light. The exposure from screens is a concern due to the proximity, the amount of time we use them, and the cumulative impact of using devices regularly. The benefits of blue light can increase alertness, elevate mood, help with emotional regulation, and boost memory and cognitive function. However, it can cause eye strain, headaches, trouble sleeping and waking up at night, blurred vision, and irritated eyes. From this, we can see more reasons why children are attracted to screens, but also why we need to help them to limit their use. Online safety is key to the happiness of your child on social media, and ensuring there is an open line of communication about what they may encounter. Social media has a minimum age of 13 years. However, more and more it is common to see younger children on these apps and online games, so it's essential they learn the risk. Some apps like YouTube have child settings so they can only watch appropriate content, whereas TikTok is open and any video could appear on your screen. Start by talking to your child about how to stay safe and positive online. Open the line of communication by asking them to show you their favourite apps and games. Watch some videos with them and encourage the positive ones. Then question or talk about videos or apps that you don't think are appropriate. If you can, have a discussion and find out why they think it's a good idea, and explain your reasoning too. Give them equal opportunity to speak in the conversation. Be honest about your own experiences on social media, the ways it might make you feel inadequate because you don't look like someone on Instagram, or unpopular because you don't have as many followers as a friend. But also, have you ever been involved in a viral trend or supporting someone through a difficult time using social media? Set realistic boundaries. For example, they can play video games in the living room, but not wearing headphones. This way you can do other things, but also be able to hear what is being said. Phones or tablets stay downstairs to charge at night because we all need time away from our screens. Talk about personal information and privacy settings. For example, making sure only friends can see your posts on Facebook and not having your location available on Snap Maps. It's important that they understand that once something is on the internet, you can never completely get rid of it. So they need to be careful on what they tell the apps or say on messages. Explore the effects of cyberbullying and how it might happen to anyone, and teach your child how to report something to you or another adult if they or someone else is being bullied. Encourage them to be proactive and support anyone that is being bullied by speaking out to a responsible adult. Finally, if you think something's wrong, act. It's better to approach a problem before it becomes one or gets out of control. It is important to set boundaries when using screens, and this may mean using child locks to ensure they can only access pre-approved apps or videos. It's also important to ensure that you give a time that your child can be on the screen for. If they go into it knowing there's a limit, there is less shock when you tell them to stop. The visual of the timer can also help them understand the time limit. If they get to the end of their time and ask for longer, ask them why. Did they want to finish a video or a level on a game? For them, being able to finish that thing is incredibly important. When you're unable to give them screen time or they need help transitioning away from it, make sure to offer them other safe spaces. This might be taking 5 minutes to share a book together or getting out some sensory toys and a weighted blanket. It's always worth taking the time to help them recenter and regulate rather than pushing them and triggering them to become dysregulated. When you're transitioning away from a screen, it can be important to make your child feel safe and give them another option to get that release of dopamine. Giving them an activity or action to do following removing the screen can be helpful, especially if it's something else that gives an immediate reaction, like a book with buttons that makes noises or a physical activity. Can you play keep it up with a balloon or jump on a trampoline? As we've said, it's important that your child is reminded close to the end of the screen time so they're not surprised when it ends. When going to bed, set a time that screens go off and set up the chargers in the kitchen or the living room. Then move on to the rest of your evening routine, such as bath or shower time. Taking a screen for regulation can be great on a day out, but maybe set limits of it can only be used in the car so your child has time to connect and enjoy the experience. If they want to take photos, try using a disposable camera and get it developed together or a digital camera that they can download photos from later. Meal times can be difficult for many children, as it's often a time where others expect high levels of eye contact and conversation. This is often why they want the screen whilst eating. To move away from this, think of other activities that can be done at the table. Is there a book you can read as a family, or play a game like name an animal starting with each letter of the alphabet? This reduces the stress of creating conversation and can encourage your child to focus on that specific task. Thank you for watching this video on moderating screen time. Hopefully the techniques will help you control access to screens and improve other aspects of your child's interaction along the way. Remember to be clear and concise about screen time and give them alternative activities for when it's time to move on. If you've got any questions, write them in an email and send them to me whenever you have a chance.